Hey, welcome back to the Whiskey and Whitetails YouTube channel. I'm Gus.
I'm Matt.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay. You sounded hesitant there for a second. So, anyways, we are coming at you today with a new bottle and an interesting topic to discuss today about hunting in general, not just whitetails. It is prevalent in whitetail hunting, but it's a hunting thing across the board. So, and it's something that draws. Well, we'll get into it.
It's also now prevalent in bourbon hunting.
That's true, it is, isn't it? I didn't think of it that way, but that's true.
Yeah, it's very big. I'm going to do it right here. I'm just kidding.
Go ahead.
This is Selim bourbon. So we have had this for a while, didn't know when to drink it, and just nothing ever felt right except for right now. So we're going to drink it right now.
Sometimes there is no right. You just got to decide, you know what, today. Ooh, that was solid.
May regret not doing that on a podcast.
Do you ever watch a whiskey pour and you go, that's going to be good?
Yes.
Just because of how the oily or the thickness of it and how
you thought about this one?
That's exactly as soon as you started pouring it, I was like, maybe that's just the alcoholic in me or something. I'm just kidding. Not an alcoholic.
Are you not?
I don't think so.
Oh, me neither. I haven't had a drink in 2 days, 3 days.
Alcoholics go to meetings.
That's true.
Mm.
I don't know. It smells really good. I'm not sure that I'm super happy with the taste. It's a blend from like 3 different states. So
I see. Distilled in Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee.
Yeah. I don't know. I think our blend was a little better.
Well, yeah, you know, not.
Which is all Indiana,
and it's around the same proof, 114. Sorry, 114.98. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways.
It's bourbon.
So the topic of today's discussion is the grip and grin photo. Now we see this in whitetail hunting. We see this in fishing. You see this in college with poor choices on Friday and Saturday evenings. People taking crappy grinning photos with passed out friends, things like that.
Yeah.
Bad example, but the point remains that people like to take pictures to remember and document their hunts. The grip and grin specifically, we can put one up so you can see or a number of them, but if you're not familiar, you know, sitting next to or behind and for the sake of this conversation, your deer, holding the antlers, big smile in your face, excited about how everything went down. To you and I, to yourself, if that's who took that picture or the people you were with, you understand what that represents, right? Yeah. It represents probably a lot of hard work, time, patience, so on and so forth. But
all the things that we've talked about.
But that's not what everybody sees, right? To go back to the beginning, you know, trophy pictures, if you want to call it that, have been around since hunting's been around. You can find Native American art. You can find art in caves and walls and cliffs that go back even further than that, of people illustrating and documenting hunts and successful hunts. It's been a part of our human nature and human culture since the beginning. The problem is that with social media today, the ability for those photos to get in front of a broader and more wide audience in some ways presents a problem, but also presents an opportunity that we'll kind of get into.
They get flagged pretty quick.
Yeah, they get flagged pretty quick.
Some of the hunting groups that we're in, people mention that all the time, that pictures like grip and grins don't do well.
They don't, and I'll get into some explanations as to why, but at the end of the day, hunters were conservationists. At least I like to think everyone has that mindset when they're taking to the field or you know, the water if you're fishing. But it's important that we pay attention to the perception that we're putting out there, because by and large, over the decades, the number of hunters has declined. Recent studies showed that just shy of 5% of the U.S. population consider themselves hunters. About 5% also consider themselves vehemently, if that's the right word, vehement, I don't know.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Vehemently against hunting. So those are your super firm anti-hunters.
I feel like I definitely see more anti than for when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah, and then 90% fall in the middle. Either aren't totally for or against, don't really have an opinion on it, or kind of on the fence. So when you consider that, and you consider where we as hunters and anglers need support from that other 90% when it comes to voting on legislation about hunting laws or public land access or things like that, we need to be able to rely on and hopefully hold a good opinion or a good perception of that public, especially that 90 to 85%, whatever that is, of people that are on the fence, because they help make those decisions along with us. Because as 5% hunters, you know, we're not present as much. We don't represent a large enough percentage of the population to help drive some of those legislative decisions and things like that. In addition,
also a lot of us flat out just don't vote for it.
Yeah, that's also a problem.
Yeah.
There was another podcast or another article I read, and they were talking about just that, about how, you know, a lot of these conversations about, and we can talk about some of the more recent things like the banning of black bear hunting, I think, in New Jersey, banning of wolf hunting in Colorado, all those things. Like, before those decisions are made, they have usually at least one, if not multiple, like open forums for people to come talk to. And one of the guys was complaining. He said, I go to as many of these things as I can, you know, to voice my opinion and my concerns, and I am undoubtedly every time outnumbered 10 to 1.
Yeah.
The anti-hunters, the people who are against it show up in droves, and as hunters, we're not supporting and we're not participating in those things as much as we should. The public perception of what we do and what the hunt is all about, if all they're seeing is this grip and grin photo, we're not doing a good job of portraying, you know, what goes on. So,
well, before we even go into that, I think we probably both have the same opinion of it, only because I've never seen a grip and grin photo of you. There may be one.
Yeah,
like I don't do it either, and it's not because either of us care. We're not judging anyone. Like, we have good friends that do it. I've taken grip and grin photos. I've taken grip and grin videos.
Sure,
they don't bother me. It's just, this is kind of like, you're in bullet points here that I won't ruin, but where you're going with this is kind of like not because I think a lot of people look at it and they're like, you know, fuck it, I'm hunting.
Exactly.
You know, fuck the people that don't hunt. You know, and that's how you lose rights.
Right. Yeah.
Which you can see happening all around us.
Proud to be a hunter. You know, and I'm gonna show it. That's great. But
and again, we're not saying just because you do grip and grins means that you're this either.
No.
We're not saying any of that.
No. The only point and the only reason I wanted to talk about this is because opinions do differ.
Yes.
So I think it is a good conversation topic, and I don't think either of us are afraid of having a challenging or difficult conversation. But the fact of the matter is that today, more than ever, I think we need to be cognizant about how we're portraying the community and the lifestyle that we love so much. There have been some recent incidents that, unfortunately, despite all the positive things out there about the hunting community, you know, getting youth outdoors, showing people who have been affected by trauma, first responders, veterans, things like that, being able to use nature for therapy, all those things get overshadowed whenever some idiot goes to Scotland and makes a kill. I think it was a mountain goat or a sheep, and then takes a grip and grin style photo with a very I don't even know the right word.
What do you do? I don't know what you did.
I guess I could just say, because we're all adults here, right? It was a she, and she took a picture with this, her kill, with an adult toy that she had gotten bloody with. I don't understand the premise or the reason why, but you can imagine the kind of outrage that, you know, there's been pictures of people, you know, straddling inappropriately, like doing things to the animal.
If there's people that tag us and stuff like that, we are not going to repost it. We're not going to like it.
No. So, and the other thing that I did notice, and that some of the stuff I was reading did call out, and I'm glad to hear, and because I haven't always seen it, is that in most cases we self-police ourselves pretty well.
Yeah.
And the outdoorsmen in the outdoor community are pretty quick to say, hey, that's bullshit. How about we don't do that?
Yeah. Well, it's like the respect. Show a little respect.
Right. The problem,
for the animal.
Yeah. The problem is that the negative ones seem to be the one that gain the most traction. And then we're constantly in, I feel, when it comes to public persona and when it comes to me trying to have a conversation with someone who's maybe not huge on hunting or just trying to understand what we do, and then I have to explain in these things.
I could definitely see, because as an outsider looking at, I'm not an outsider, but I'm saying I could see as an outsider to see this video, this picture of this girl doing that.
Oh yeah,
I could see that, and then I see a respectful picture where they curl the legs under, like the ones we take, curl the legs under, treat it nicely, clean the blood up around the mouth.
Absolutely.
That picture, I know that they wouldn't notice the difference.
Sure.
They would look at both the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a, there are some people that you're just not going to be able to reason with. And that is what it is. By and large, though, if you look at the statistics, there's enough people who are on the fence or don't have an opinion one way or another. And those are the people that we need to be making sure that we're providing enough content and sustenance to what we're putting out there, that they see the same things in the hunting community and getting the outdoors that we see. The mental break that you get from being in the woods, the ability to kind of heal in some ways, getting out away from just disconnecting.
Well, providing your family with, pure meat,
those, the nutritional aspects, the exercise, things that we've talked about in previous episodes, the benefits to hunting. But in order to continue to grow and get new hunters involved, right? People, I think, something I think about a lot is so my son and my kids are going to grow up, and I hope to influence them enough in the outdoors that they take an active role. I hope that I can do the same for other people as I go about in my life, because the more people we have involved buying hunting and fishing licenses, whatever else, the more money's going into conservation, the more we get to maintain the things that we have and the resources that we have with those funds. But we can't do that if people are posting crap photos. So again, like Matt said, we're not asking you or telling you to not post these things, but just consider the context, consider what you're posting. Some suggestions that you were alluding to earlier: be respectful, right? It's not hard to be respectful about the picture you're taking. You don't need to be vulgar. You don't need to post things in excess of blood. And now look, there are huge social media personalities who do this and they don't care. And that's kind of how they've ridden their wave to the top in some cases. But not everybody's going to get away with that. And not everybody's going to have as positive a response, because we don't all have 23 million whatever followers.
Well, sometimes those accounts are kind of like the point of it is not the point, like this girl you're talking about.
Yeah.
It is a bloody job. I mean, we have taken pictures of skinned animals, not for social media, but we have done it, for ourselves, because it's part of the process. Look how good of a job the kill shot was and everything else. And it's really easy to see that way. We've taken pictures holding like a caped animal, whitetail. These things, but we're not out parading it around. I don't know the best way to describe it. I didn't know about this topic until we sat down.
I surprised him with
15 minutes ago. So my words are escaping me, but the be respectful thing, like that's always been, like, since we've been hunting, it's always been.
Yeah.
And
be respectful means
curling legs up, cleaning up, as you say. I'm not going to
try to clean things up a little bit.
Tell the whole story. Yeah.
There's also, I when reading about some of this stuff and just looking for some other little anecdotes to add, I noticed some people referring to what they call the grip and grin 2.0. And it's people moving away from the traditional, like holding the antlers and grinning, and instead holding up, your two back straps with bloody hands, like showing this is why kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you can do the same thing, just maybe a little more respectful. Maybe show a picture of you processing the meat in your kitchen as opposed to still being bloody in the field. Maybe, I know there's just other ways to do it, but also give some context to it. Explain a little bit about the work and the time you put into, talk maybe a little bit about the emotion. One thing I think that those pictures don't portray is that most hunters are not out there grinning because they got to kill something. In fact, the act of killing is for most hunters
it's the least favorite part.
It's the least favorite part of it, right? Like it's
once you release the arrow, it becomes solemn until it's over.
It's different. It's not like what you're grinning and what they're happy about. And the reason people want to show and document these things is because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of patience. It's time away from your family in order to provide for your family. It's all these things. And I don't think, and I think most people would agree that it's not portrayed that way as much as it could be. And improving how we do that as a community, I think, would help us not only with our public perception, but with also how we share things and can relate to one another. Because it's really hard for me to relate to some of these hunters that are shooting 2 and 3 170 plus class whitetails a year, right? I can't relate to that.
I can't either.
But if they talk to me about the work in the off season it took to get to that point, and preparing and shooting the bow and all the preparation, I can relate to that stuff. Our end result may not be the same. I may only shoot a doe. I may shoot and miss, but I can relate to all the stuff leading up to it, right? And so that helps me relate to that photo a lot better, and I think other people as well. So that was the gist of it, what I wanted to talk about.
And I also just want to restate something we've already stated. We are not saying that you were a bad person for doing grip and grin.
No, not
opposite.
No.
We are stating that there are people that look from the outside. So when you do your grip and grin, be a little respectful on the animal. Don't bring a sex toy with you. Don't. I mean, ridiculous. I'm glad I haven't seen that.
People mounting animals.
We've been tagged in photos of people mounting deer, and that's, not happening. I'm not going to like it. I'm definitely not going to reshare it. It's just be respectful. Just realize that there are other people looking, and those people are voting. Now, if you're out voting and doing all this stuff and being proactive, and that's what you decide to do, maybe you're the exception to the rule.
I mean, we're not here to tell anybody what to do.
Yeah.
We're just bringing some awareness to the fact that what we do as a community is a very small subset of the United States, and a subset of
5%
people and citizens who need to maintain our numbers in order to maintain and do the things we want to do. We need to be presenting ourselves well to the public, and I just think people should maybe give a little more thought into it. And again, I think this is the exception, not the rule. Like most people are pretty respectful.
All the people in our pages that they're respectful about it.
One of the favorite kind of like photos that I like is when people will take a picture of their knife and the blade, and they've got the little pieces from the tag laying on it, and you can see the hide in the background. I think it's classy. I think it gets the point across. You can tell a story about it, and you don't have to show all the stuff that gets people up in arms. And it's just, again, I'm not saying that we need to bend the knee, so to speak, to the anti-hunters. You're not going to change those people's mind. It's the 90%, that 85-90% of people who are on the fence that we need to keep in our good graces, because when it comes time for legislation or getting more people in the field, those are the folks who we need to be. And by and large, a good portion of those, I think, are our youth, who aren't fully, may not consider themselves a hunter yet, may not be buying licenses, so they don't get counted in that, but they're seeing on social media more than ever before, and they're seeing how we as adults talk about and portray our pursuits, and they're also seeing how other people react. And if they're seeing, if I post something like that, I get attacked, they may be hesitant to get involved in hunting at all, and that's not what we want. We don't want to present any more barriers to entry.
Right.
So, but it's just something to think about whenever you are posting. Maybe just think about adding some more context if you can, and making sure it's you're just thinking about the perspective that other people are going to see when they look at your picture, whatever it is, without any context. What are they going to think?
Yeah.
You can take that advice and run with it anywhere in life, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's true. It's definitely, Andy's always like, why do you care what people think about you? I was like, it's not that I care what they think about me. It's the message I'm portraying.
Yeah.
I don't want to portray the wrong message to anyone.
Yeah, because you don't want to, when you change and you give off the wrong perception or a negative perception, you cut off opportunities before they even present themselves, because people will form an opinion, and it's just something you don't want to do. So,
true.
Anyways.
Yeah. So
that's all I had on that.
Grip and grin.
Bourbon grip and grins are cool. Do those.
We have a bunch coming in the Bourbon Hunter episode 2.
That's right.
I've also been asked to do Dusty Hunter.
Oh, a Dusty Hunter?
Which I don't know that I can. That's a hard market these days.
We'd have to have some cooperation with some folks and make that happen.
I don't want it to be fake, though. So to not be fake, I think it's country clubs. I think we're going to go to country clubs. Be like, can I look in the back?
That'll go well.
I don't know how else to do it. I don't know. If you have ideas, please let us know. But yeah, Bourbon Hunter 2.0 will be coming out soon. Probably in the next 30 days, if I had to guess.
Cool.
So, cheers, bro.
Final thoughts on this whiskey?
No,
the whiskey.
I don't like it.
We've beat this.
That's my final thought. I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No. What about you?
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. It's one of those, maybe I'll revisit it later.
Maybe it's one of those neck pour things.
Maybe.
We'll sit on the shelf and try it again in a month.
Cool. All right. We're done.
Yeah.
Until next time. Adios.
See ya.